CRT and Total Soup Secrets, Chapter 4, Emotions and Total Soup Entries. When it's time to enter the exact top from which price reverses, you will feel like it's silly to enter because of how violently the key level is being hit. That's exact point at which the reversal will occur. If you feel FOMO, the time is not right. And this is how you enter Total Soups. You go based on your intuitions, basically your emotions. Like example, this trade I took, to me, I was like, man, this trade does not have any setup, does not have any confirmation. I'm just entering a random spot. Right? It felt silly. And this is a very good concept as well. If a value gap below or low, it's a high probability Total Soup. So to me, it felt silly to enter this long. And the market out of nowhere aggressively went to the downside, which made me like, think about like, how is this silly market may go down lower? And that's exactly when the market reversed. Right? When it's time to enter the exact top from which price reverses, you feel like it's silly to enter because how violently the key level is being hit. That's exact at which price will reverse. If you feel FOMO, the time is not right. Now, to go more in depth into this, you have to think, right? So let's just say you have your entry. Let's just say you have your, your hard to think correct. You have your hard to turn narrative, etc., etc. Now you look to execute, right? Now when you look to execute, you have your entry pattern like this, fair value or low, so high probability Total Soup. So you have an entry, stop loss, and target. Now, when you first, during a specific time, you feel like, it feels silly to enter the trade. Like during the price action, you'll feel like it's silly. And you, out of nowhere, market just, becomes aggressive and the key level gets tapped aggressively. You're like, oh, market may take me out, like market just may run through me. And let's say you watch market reverses, and you be like, oh, I didn't take a trade, but yeah, you make excuses, right? Now, you have to use that as an advantage, right? When you feel silly during this trade, that's exactly what you should enter. When you feel FOMO, you should enter. Right? When you feel FOMO, what happens most of the time? Market reverses, it stops you out, then eventually goes your way. When it stops you out, you feel silly to enter the trade, then market reverses, right? So you must use that emotion in advantage. When the setup feels it, like in this case, when you're trading Total Soup, all you're trading is aggressiveness with no confirmation. Aggressiveness with no confirmation, right? So you're entering before the confirmation. So you're entering without that. So you sometimes feel silly to enter the trade, right? Sometimes that's why you feel silly to enter the trade. So when you enter it, you're like, feel so silly, it's not gonna work out, right? Eventually, market goes your way, right? Especially when the market out of nowhere, just does a big, aggressive, speedy candle, right? Out of nowhere, the market's, out of suddenly aggressive. And you guys know, whenever the market's aggressive, that means somebody's in control. That's a good sign. That means somebody's moving the market. Reversals are gonna occur very soon. Reversals occurred very soon afterward. Now, you must use that as an advantage, as I said before. The reason is because they usually give you a very good entry. They give you as you guys know, markets, the market makers are like human like us, right? The way they are is that they know in a natural human instinct, when a setup is like this, it's gonna feel silly. So you're gonna go to it, people are gonna feel silly, then you're gonna reverse, right? So people are gonna miss it out. So that's why you need to use the advantage. You need to go, you need to think like them, right? Obviously, I don't want a lot of people to participate in the move. So what I'm gonna do, make it feel silly, make them FOMO. When you make it FOMO, you get fucked up because the market will reverse, go up higher afterward. Make them second guess, make them be impatient, etc., right? Which all leads to what? Not participating in the move. When you feel silly, you are high likely not going to participate, which is when you feel silly, that's when you exactly when you enter. And this is how I have my entries, right? My previous entry I had. To me, as I said before, when the market out of nowhere becomes aggressive, I'm like, when the market out of nowhere becomes aggressive, and when you feel silly for me to enter the trade, I love that feeling because I know, okay, from now I've been using that feeling as an advantage. That's why I took the trade, right? If I get below old low, it's a high probably 32, I'm gonna shit up, right? So how do you gotta use an advantage, as I said before already multiple times. You gotta know when the market's aggressive, you gotta be like, okay, there's something in control, is a good sign. And when you feel silly, well, like to me personally, whenever I see the market aggressiveness, I'm like, okay, there's gonna be potential high probability setup moves, right? I count it as a high probability setup. If I see the market slowly going, I don't see it as a high probability setup. So that's why I don't participate in these moves. In this place, I participated because this is a high probability setup, right? So to me, whenever the market is aggressive, like speed, market's moving, right? Big fucking candles, sticky candles, bars, I count it as more higher probability. And especially that paired with my setups feeling silly to enter, right? You go down lower, you go up higher. When it feels like that, that's exactly the time I enter the trade. But yeah, this is a good setup because now out of nowhere, market is speedy, market's aggressive, market's moving, like very aggressiveness, right? With big candles. Second, I have my entry pattern here, which is there's no confirmation beforehand, but it to be confirmation of when I enter the trade. Second, it feels silly to enter the trade. I'm like, okay, that's a high probability setup because I feel silly, which is a good sign for a total soup. And usually because when you're trading total soup, you're not waiting for confirmations. You're not waiting for none of that. So you will feel silly. You will feel FOMO. When you feel FOMO, it's not the right time to enter. When you feel silly, it's the right time to enter, depending on your stop loss. Okay, I'm like, okay, this setup right here, to me before I took the trade, it felt silly. Okay, good sign. Second, aggressiveness inside the key level. Very aggressiveness candle inside the key level, another good sign. Aggressiveness beforehand, another good sign. Tips over here. Aggressiveness into the key level, but when it tapped the key level, it didn't go all the way in, right? It didn't do a deeper dig, so it reversed. But when you reverse, what happened? It came back down, right? Because usually when I talk about aggressiveness, I wanted to tap my key level like this without, I want the key level to tap like that without it tapping like like that. That's not a good sign because there's orders down here, right? That needs to be filled. So the market needs to go back down lower, fill those orders enough for it to push up higher, right? Without caring about it going down lower, putting more orders because once it goes down here, digs into it, he has gathered enough. He has had enough liquidity pool to push the market to where it's supposed to go, which makes a high probability setup, right? Out of nowhere, aggressiveness, right? Which is beautiful. So when the trade feels silly, especially when you're like trading like me, a total soup trader, when it feels silly, it's the right time to enter. When it feels FOMO, do not enter the trade. A big mistake that happened to me was when I feel FOMO, I entered the trade and I got fucked. I got fucked so many times, right? Had to learn it the wrong. I had to learn it the hard way. Second is when I ever felt silly, I didn't enter the trade, but the trade worked out beautifully. Right? It did stagnate a little bit because hyper setup will make it messy once you're into the trade. That's what it's supposed to do because he wants less participants in the market, but you gotta hold. I didn't take it. I was like, oh shit, could have made everything back. Then eventually I fixed my problem, which I didn't FOMO anymore. I started FOMOing in. I took only trades. I was in a stage where I only took trades where I felt FOMO. I felt not FOMO. I felt silly. It felt silly. Whenever you feel silly, I'm like, okay, I'm into the trade. Boom. Right? Because when you feel FOMO, I'm like, yeah, I'm not gonna enter because I took too many losses from the FOMO. When it feels silly, I'm like, yeah, I'm into the trade. It feels good, right? Because this silliness is actually the one to deliver. Third is what is aggressiveness, and there's two types of aggressiveness. There's two types of aggressiveness you need. Aggressive number one, you need aggressiveness out of nowhere. Market needs to start. Market needs to move faster during a specific time when you're looking for a setup. Like during a period where it's like right by the CRT low, CRT high, and it needs to go press it out, or needs to have SMT with it, and you need aggressiveness, right? Second, you need aggressiveness to your key level. So I want to see my key level get tapped aggressively, meaning I don't want it to get like tapped like that, right? I don't want it to get tapped like fucking, like that isn't a good tap. I want to see big, right, aggressive into it because now, since it's so aggressive, it usually goes beyond it, which is a good thing because now that has accumulated enough order. It has gathered enough orders to push it out. Gather enough order, push it out, right? In this case, look, it's down a little bit, goes up high because, it tapped it, but it didn't dig into it. It wasn't very aggressive. This one aggressive, boom, that eventually went up. Right, that was the one to deliver. And excuse the way I talk right now. I have some my tongue is fucking hurting for some reason every time I speak. But I gotta do it for you guys, Although I'm gaining damage from my tongue every time I speak, it is what it is, right? Everything I say right now, press my shit. But you're not a bitch, you know what I'm saying? So, same thing here. He tapped it once, but it wasn't a big dick. It wasn't very aggressive. This one aggressively went down there, which is beautiful, which is what you want. Because it went down there, eventually reverse, right? Because aggressiveness means good. Because that means somebody's in control. And yeah, thank you for watching. Make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe, share. Join the Telegram link in the description down below. And I'll see you guys on the Telegram. And yeah, bye-bye. Peace out. This is the CRT and Total Soup Secrets. Bye-bye.